Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. If you are new, my name is Laurel and this is my mommy lifestyle channel. This is gonna be a lot more lifestyle and a lot less mommy. What I want to talk to you about today is an update on my using CBD oil for fibromyalgia video that I put out in October. And this video is meant to be a follow-up, but it's not really a follow-up, and you'll see what I mean when I get into it. If you haven't seen that original video yet, I highly recommend watching it first so that this all makes sense to you. I will link that up in the iCards for you, and you should definitely go check that one out and then come back here and watch this video. So I put that video out at the beginning of winter. It's mid-October. Our fall season is fairly short in Canada and our spring season is fairly short in Canada. We kind of have like a really long winter and then a decent summer, and then there's like a couple weeks in between where the seasons sort of transition over to those. So when I say winter, I'm talking about like mid-October to end of March kind of time frame. So I actually had way less fibromyalgia flares this winter, and as I talked about in the first video, I'm not sure that my fibromyalgia is actually fibromyalgia. As silly as that sounds, I don't have daily pain, which I'm gonna venture out and say most people with fibromyalgia do. I don't have daily pain. Some days I feel awesome. I feel like a normal 31-year-old woman, and it doesn't affect me in the least. And then I have what I consider to be flares, where I have one day, maybe a day and a half sort of, where I feel awful. I have a fever, I have a headache, sometimes I'm dizzy. I feel really achy, like when you get the flu and your skin hurts, like that kind of achy. And then on top of that, regular like joint and muscle aches and pains. And yeah, just overall do not feel good at all. Feel like you're coming down with a really terrible flu. That's my fibromyalgia flare. Those are sort of my symptoms. So in years previous, during the winter months, I tend to have a decent amount of those, like maybe once every other week or so. I would have a day where I'd be pretty much laid up in bed or laid out on the couch and just feel absolutely awful. And then the next day, or you know, getting towards the night of the next day, I feel way better. So they come on almost instantly. It's so crazy. Like I'll start to feel sort of not super well, and I usually think, oh, maybe I'm just tired, or oh, maybe I'm just getting a bad headache, or that sort of thing. And then like 15 minutes later, it's like, nope, this is a flare. They come on really, really fast, and they tend to go away almost just as quickly. Like sometimes even within a couple hours. If I take some medicine and take a nap, sometimes I wake up and feel totally fine. Other days it drags on for a day, day and a half, and nothing I do seems to really help. But that's sort of how my flares are. I don't know how much I dove into that in the first video, so I just wanted to reiterate that that's sort of what I'm dealing with. So in previous years, I would have one of those days sort of once every other week sometimes when it's really bad, or maybe once a month when it's not quite as bad. This winter, I think I only had 2 flares, which is amazing. Obviously it's 2 more than I would have liked to have had, but such an improvement over previous winters. And the only thing I did differently, and I'm not including the CBD oil in this because I don't use it as a daily regimen, I don't use it preventatively, I only take it when I have a flare. So that's not something I consider to be doing differently. The only thing day to day that I did differently this winter was increased my hydration like crazy. I pretty much tripled my fluid intake, probably 80 to 90% of that being water. And then I also added in like an extra cup of coffee, which does count towards your hydration. They've actually changed all those rules in the past couple of years. It doesn't count for 100%. Like if you had a 10-ounce glass of water and a 10-ounce mug of coffee, they don't count for the same amount of hydration, but they do both count. So that's the only thing I've changed. So then if you look up the symptoms of a fibromyalgia flare, the ones I sort of talked about, and then you look up the symptoms of chronic dehydration, they're pretty much the same. Like it's really, really similar symptoms. So now I'm wondering, because I've been so unsure this whole time whether I have fibromyalgia or not, have I just been suffering with chronic dehydration the past couple of years? I really have no idea, and this winter seems to kind of lend itself to maybe that being the case. But at the same time, on the days when I ended up with a flare, I made sure to recall, because I actually started logging my beverages in an app on my phone so that I would know, I made sure to go back and check and see how much I drank the day before and the day before that, and see whether it's possible that I was dehydrated. And none of the days coincided with anything that would make me think that it was dehydration. So I really don't know. Anyways, I'm kind of going off on a tangent here. So I didn't have a ton of flares, so I really wasn't able to adequately test how the CBD oil was working for me. I did take it when I had a flare, but I'm kind of in this I kind of have this bad habit of just trying to wait it out before I take anything, and then by the time I decide that it's bad enough that I need to take something to help me, it's normally so bad that I just go straight to the pharmaceutical. Or I take the CBD oil, and if I'm not feeling relief within like 15 minutes, then I'm like, okay, just give me real drugs. So I honestly can't say, I can't give you a follow-up. I can't say the CBD oil worked really well. I really didn't have enough experience with which to compare it, which is great. I'm grateful for that. I'm just sorry I don't have a better answer for you guys. What I can talk about, however, and sort of the direction I was planning this video on going in, is about using the CBD for my anxiety. And I don't know how much I talked about my anxiety in the first video. I really should have rewatched it before I filmed this. But I do have multiple different forms of anxiety, and they too are worse in the winter months, just because of what my triggers are and how my anxiety manifests. So I actually had a lot of experience using the CBD oil for anxiety this winter. My anxiety was quite bad this winter. Seems like my physical health and my mental health kind of did a flip-flop the past couple months, and I took the CBD oil every time that I felt anxiety coming on, and I can honestly say that it helped. It helped my panic attacks. I had 2 or 3 like full-blown panic attacks this winter, and it also helped just a generalized feeling of anxiety. And in both circumstances, I could feel relief within, I'd say, about 15 minutes, which is awesome. And again, I don't know if I talked about this in the first video, I don't take pharmaceuticals for my mental health issues. I've tried in the past, and I've tried a whole bunch of different kinds, and they all make me really sick physically. So I just don't take anything. I just try and cope. I try and breathe through it. I try and distract myself. I try and do all these different techniques. And I can honestly say the CBD oil helped a ton. In one circumstance in particular, where I actually took it preventatively. Typically because of the way my anxiety manifests, it comes on suddenly, and there's not really anything I can take to prevent that necessarily, without obviously being on a daily regimen of pharmaceuticals. So it just kind of comes on suddenly. So then I take the CBD oil, and over the next 15 or so minutes, it just sort of helps calm myself. However, with my social anxiety, I can actually take it preventatively. And I did that this past week. I had a public speaking engagement that I was really stressed out and nervous about. I haven't had to speak in public really probably since I graduated college 8 years ago next month. So yeah, it's been a really long time since I've had to do that. And so I took it preventatively. I took it about half an hour before my speaking engagement, and I went and I didn't have a panic attack. And I felt like I was normal people nervous. Like I felt nervous a little bit. I was in a new place that I hadn't really ever been to before. I was doing something totally new that I hadn't done before. I was doing a public speaking engagement, and I felt a little bit nervous. I did not have anxiety. I did not have a panic attack. And that was amazing. It seriously made such a difference in how the event went and how I felt about it and how I feel about doing another one, which is a huge blessing. I'm sure some of you who maybe are more scientific minded are thinking, oh, well, it's just placebo effect, it's psychosomatic, what have you. If you want to think that, that's totally okay. I even sometimes think that. I'm like, oh, I don't know, like maybe it works, maybe it doesn't, maybe it's just my already messed up head that thinks it works. To be honest, I don't care, guys. I don't care, because it helps me, it makes me feel better, it allows me to do things without having this crazy anxiety. So it's working. Regardless of how it's working, it's working, and that's all that matters to me. So obviously I'm not a doctor, I'm not a scientific researcher. I can't say, yes, this CBD oil, it does this and this and this, which ends up calming my nerves and whatever. I can't speak to that. All I can tell you is that it is helping my mental health, and if you have similar mental health issues, I think it's worth trying. That is what I can say to you. As for the fibromyalgia, arthritis, inflammation, all those other more physical things that we were talking about in the first video, I wish I could give you a better update. I really can't. Again, I think it's worth trying. I think there's been enough studies and enough people have said that yes, this helps, that I think it's worth trying. And I'm gonna do a better job of taking the CBD oil as soon as I feel a flare coming on, so that I can better update you guys next time. So just so you know, I will show you again the one that I'm using. It's the same bottle as last time, is the Calyx Heal, which is 1,000 milligrams of hemp extracted CBD oil. You can take up to 15 drops under the tongue 3 times daily. And typically I take 10 drops under the tongue. And if it's for anxiety, I typically only need to do it the once, maybe twice if I kind of have it for the entire day. So I've never even had to take the full dose. So this bottle is lasting me a long time. It's the same bottle that I got in October. And let's see if we can see how much is left in the bottle. Look how much is still left. Can you see that line at the top there? That's how much I've used since October for those couple of flares and probably 5 or 6 anxiety attacks. That's all I've used. So the bottle was expensive. I remember saying in the first video that I was shocked at how expensive it was, but it is lasting me forever. So it is well worth trying, whether it's for physical ailments or mental health ailments. I think you should try it. Anyways, that's my update. If you have any questions, leave them down below. I can definitely get in touch with my distributor, and they can get in touch with the actual company and get any questions you have answered. So thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope this was helpful, despite it not really being what you guys were asking for in the comment section of the other video. But that is how I am using CBD oil for anxiety and fibromyalgia, and I hope it was helpful. Thanks for watching. See you in my next one. Bye guys.